Hey friends, so this message, I have definitely said this before in various videos, but I don't think that it's been the subject of one. So now it is. And it was prompted by this article that I saw a couple of weeks ago, which was randomly in my newsfeed. Now, I'll admit that the first thing I did when I saw this headline was laugh and say, really? Thinking it was maybe an April Fool's joke. But nope, it's a real thing. So, of course, I had to fall down a rabbit hole for like an hour, reading how this came to be, etc., and so on. So that you don't have to do that. You're welcome. Anyway, I'll give you a condensed version. There are tons of specialized social media groups out there these days. The one that is the subject in this case is one called Are We Dating the Same Guy? The group was designed to be a place for women to share experiences and keep each other safe from potentially harmful dating matches on apps and things like that, and identify cheating or other Lothario behavior, to put it gently, which, let's be honest, exists and always have. And a Lothario can be a woman too. I'm just saying. Except back in the day, if someone did you dirty, you'd just tell a friend who told another friend, and the reach was a lot shorter. Now, the world is more connected than ever, but I still think it's fairly small from a metaphorical standpoint. 6 degrees of separation might be more like 3 or 4 now. Anyway, the man in question filed this suit against several women, 27 of them, who he claims posted false or defamatory messages about him in this group. To this guy, defamatory means something as simple as a passing comment or simply hitting like on a negative post about him. One named defendant who went on an actual date with this man stated that during said date, he was very arrogant and smug and ranted on about various conspiracy theories. The woman felt that they weren't compatible for that reason and that he seemed a bit unhinged, which was why she made a post about him on that group in the first place, and she gave what she alleges is a factual account of their date. Well, he somehow found the group and her comments, and that's where this all began. Now, there's a lot to unpack here about this story, and I am neutral on the group's existence itself. That isn't the thing that I want to talk about here, but I feel like this needs to be said. The man is claiming that these women did damage to his reputation, so he's struggling to get a date, but this guy did more damage to his own reputation by doing this, which is in fact a little unhinged. So if he's hoping that that makes him seem like a good guy or a desirable match, well, sorry, but he would be wrong. And with that said, saying something unsavory about another person is not really enough grounds for a lawsuit. I mean, yes, defamation and slander are a thing, but defamation is only really defamation in the eyes of the law when it is a false statement. If what the other person is saying is true, then, in the words of Willy Wonka, you get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir. Keeping this in mind, being incompatible with someone isn't grounds for a lawsuit. Neither is rejection, or simply not liking someone, or not wanting to go out on another date with them, or a date at all, for that matter. People are allowed to go out or not go out with whoever the hell they want. But, in my opinion, the biggest ticket item here that stood out the most, at least to me, was the fact that, well, free speech exists. Free speech does not mean being free from consequences. So, while I think this guy is ridiculous, he is within his right technically to sue, but he cannot change the truth or stop other people from speaking it just because he doesn't like it. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. As the message says, if you want to be spoken about nicely, act better. If you don't want people to speak badly about you, then don't act badly. If you don't want people to think you're a chooch, don't act like a chooch. It's really that simple. I'm no expert here, but if this was just one woman with an axe to grind, or maybe 2 or 3 or even 4, that woman number 1 got to jump on the bandwagon, it would be one thing. But 27 of them? I look at this the same way I look at someone who's been divorced 6 times and is now headed for number 7. No offense if this is you, but at what point does one look around and say, what is the common denominator here? Is it really all of these other people who are the problem? Or could it be, I don't know, me? Let me share something that I have learned about people, especially in the last, 3 or 4 years. People tend to get the most upset when you call them out on bad behaviors that they know they have, but they desperately wish were false. Now, look, don't get it twisted. Nobody particularly enjoys being called out or having other people talk about them in a negative light because of something that they did. But most people are self-aware enough to realize that, hey, maybe there's a kernel of truth in what this person is saying. Maybe I did act like a jerk, or I did something that was just plain wrong, etc. Most people can own their behavior and their own shortcomings. I always tell people that self-awareness is a huge flex, because when you know what your flaws and undesirable behaviors are, you have power over them. You have the ability to figure out why you do the things you do, and more importantly, change them. But in order to have that power, you have to own that behavior first. And that's the gotcha for a lot of people. They don't want to do that because it requires too much introspection, too much admission that they aren't perfect. I mean, none of us are. Too much honesty. Just too much, period. It's easier for them to put blame somewhere else. Like, for instance, the guy in the story we've been talking about. Someone sharing their experience with you or speaking their truth isn't what's making you undateable. It's the behavior, bro. The behavior you are engaging in is what's doing that. You never have to worry about making excuses for why you behaved badly when you just don't. When you treat people kindly and with respect. When you don't feel a sense of entitlement over their time or attention, or over them, for that matter. And when you do slip up, and let's face it, we all have bad moments, you own it. And you don't just punt the responsibility football to someone else, like a virtual stranger on the internet that you spoke to a couple of times on a dating app, or someone who liked a post. If your ego is that fragile, maybe those places where you purposely looked for things to be mad about are not for you. Friends, you are entitled to tell your story. Period. Full stop. Some people are going to hope that you don't. Some people will try to stop you from doing so, even. Some people are going to ask you to change it so that they don't look bad, or ask you to make excuses for them, either directly or indirectly. And sometimes we ourselves are the revisionist historians because we want to protect someone's reputation. This happens often when the person behaving badly is someone we care deeply about. We don't want to speak ill of them to others because we don't want people to think that they are a bad person. So we do a Bob Ross and put a happy little tree over their indiscretions. I'll be honest, I've done this myself in the past so many times. I have protected people's reputations by whitewashing over a betrayal or something that deeply hurt me, making excuses for those people that were so good that I almost believed them myself. Sometimes it was because they asked me to, and I foolishly agreed. Then other times, well, that's interesting. In some cases, I don't really know why I did it. Was it truly to protect those people? Or was it so that their behavior wasn't a poor reflection on me? I think it may have been a little bit of both. Because let's face it, when someone continuously tolerates another person's BS and bad behavior and either defends it or just poo-poos it off constantly, you start to wonder what's wrong with them too for sticking around and continuing to cover for them. But when it's you in the situation, it's not so easy. That's why sometimes, and I say this with a great deal of lament, when multiple people warn you about someone being not good for you, or some similar sentiment, don't just shrug it off and pretend you didn't hear it. Listen to what they have to say, because chances are they're probably telling you this for a reason, and that reason is that they care about you and they don't want to see you get hurt. I'm not saying that you have to take that and run with it. Your decisions are always your decisions, but respectfully, keep that in mind, that sometimes people who are looking through a different lens will see things that you don't through your pink little glasses. You know what I mean? You deserve to speak your truth. If it paints someone else in a bad light because of their behavior, then so be it. That is not on you. Someone not liking the truth or getting mad about it, being told, does not make it any less the truth. Ignoring it or trying to paint it over doesn't make it any less the truth either. It's always going to come out. But when you act with integrity and you treat other people with kindness and respect, then you don't have to worry about trying to conceal it, and you certainly don't have to fear it. That's all I've got for you this week. I'll be back next week with another priority message. Until then, take good care of yourselves. Bye.